I was on this chairlift once, and I was sitting with a psychiatrist, and in the chair ahead of us was a mom, and in the chair ahead of her was her son, okay? He was probably 9 years old. I was, I don't know, 18, 19. We're going up one of those chairlifts that, it's not really a chairlift, it's like a chairlift that you take to get to the chairlift. Not that high, maybe 10 to 15 feet high. And I don't know what the little kid was doing, this happens, but somehow he worked his little butt off the chair so that he was hanging by the little safety bar like this. The safety bar was under his arms, he was hanging like this and dangling off of the chair. It's probably 8 feet, maybe 10 feet below it. And the mom started screaming, "My baby! My baby! Ah, ah!" And the psychiatrist I was with yelled at her, "Mother, you are freaking your child out." And then he turned to me and said, "Your job as a parent is to teach your children to be the masters of their environment, not to fear it." This video could easily be misconstrued as me exploiting my son for a YouTube video, so I just want to give you 4 disclaimers. Number 1, my son worked his way up to these activities in the footage I'm about to show you over the course of years. He's doing none of these things for the first time. 2, these activities are always done under extreme supervision, usually within arm's reach. Number 3, he was drawn to these activities of his own accord. I did not push him. I simply offered him and continue to offer him encouragement.
Wow, nice job, bud.
And 4, I want to be very clear about this. I am not recommending these activities to you and your 3-year-old. A few years ago, I read this book, The Coddling of the American Mind. And this video is me showing examples of my strategies for raising a confident, resilient, and anti-fragile child. Number 5, the power drill. The drill is potentially dangerous because of its torque. The bit or the chuck can get entangled into his hair and maybe wind up into his head. This drill has a clutch that we turn all the way down to substantially weaken the drill's torque. You can see here my 2 fingers can seize the chuck even with the drill at full throttle. We also set the drill to its slowest speed before he uses it.
Is there a bit in there?
Also, we put a dull Phillips bit in a bit holder with a spinning collar that won't hurt his fingers if he grabs it. The cordless drill builds his hand and forearm strength, improves his manual dexterity, and teaches him to focus.
Slide it. No, the other way. Yeah, there's a bit in there.
And the only time he's ever hurt himself with the drill is when he's dropped it on his foot.
I need toilets.
But he knows he's supposed to wear shoes in the shop. Number 4, sharp scissors.
Here. Do you want to trim the tree?
This one's boring. They teach him to use scissors in school. He's much more careful than one would expect. These scissors can cut fabric, they're so sharp, but he's never cut himself, thank God. And he stays pretty focused when he uses scissors. Number 3, Pop Pop Boat. This one actually is a toy. Saw one of these in the anime movie Ponyo. This is how it works, I think. There's a little boiler that you fill with water. We use a baby Tylenol syringe.
ball up one square of toilet paper and soak it in rubbing alcohol. The idea is that the fire boils the water and the steam pops out of these pipes to propel the boat. It's dangerous because it's a flaming steel boat that chases my naked 3-year-old around an enclosed space. I suppose there's a slight chance it could light the shower curtain on fire too. And this toy teaches him situational awareness, focus,
Can I put it out?
Yes.
and firefighting.
I'm too big to fit in there.
Number 2, ladders, fences, walls, and trees. Climbing toys. This kid's been a climber since basically the womb. He was born in the Santa Monica Mountains, right here actually, so climbing has been nurtured into him. He's wearing that helmet because we rode our bike to this tree. The first time he climbed this batting cage, I honestly didn't think he'd be able to do it, so I let him. And then he just scaled all the way up to the roof.
I'm not going too far up.
Maybe it's only 8 or 10 feet high. It doesn't look that high here, but it scared the hell out of me watching him do this. When he scares me to death, I have to make sure I don't project my fear onto him. And like I said before, he's not climbing this batting cage for the first time in this footage. And before he climbed it the first time, I climbed it first to check the sturdiness of the roof.
Nice throw.
He wanted the balls that were stuck up there.
Good job.
Now we have the balls. And the number 1 most dangerous thing we let him play with, fire. And my logic is that by allowing my son to experiment with fire, I'm hoping fire will become less and less exciting and exotic to him, and eventually just be, in his mind, another boring tool that he understands the gravity of and potential of. At first, when we first started doing this, I held the torch and he aimed it until he earned my trust. And before we even did this activity, I installed this wheel on the valve knob so I can kill the propane very quickly if needed. And thank God, we've never had a problem. It's dramatic, sure, but in my opinion, a lot less dangerous than, say, a hatchet, which he's not allowed to use yet. Okay, so what happened to the kid? When the bone comes through the skin, that's called the compound fracture. Just kidding, he was fine. The kid came to a lower spot, skier came, helped him off the lift. But I'll bet he never scooched his butt off the seat again. This week on the Patreon, archival videos with director's commentary on my Patreon right there. The link is right there.